It is fall, which means one thing in our world. It is time to go to Mecca, as I like to say. And if you know, you know. I'm talking about High Point Market. We are switching up the hosting chair today, and I am doing the interviewee thing with you about what trends are happening. So horses, yes. Rope? Yep, it's a thing. And we're going to bring it all to you. In fact, Di, who normally brings you the trends, is back and joining us. But this time she is interviewing me. I had the opportunity to attend and participate in a beautiful panel discussion hosted by Luann Nagara, along with Michelle Lynn Pant and Rick Campos. High Point isn't just about meeting vendors. It's also about education. And if you couldn't attend, don't worry. I'm sharing everything you need to know on this episode. Do you love interior design but can't make the business side work? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Success by Design, mastering the business of interior design. Whether you want to elevate in your current interior design firm, start your own firm, or move the needle when it comes to your existing firm's trajectory, this is your masterclass, and I'm your host, Katie Erickson. Learn from my mistakes as I built a coast-to-coast, multi-million-dollar interior design firm. I share nearly 20 years of serving as a university professor of undergraduate and graduate business courses with you. And best of all, I bring in experts in all things business and interior design. Class starts now. Hello, everybody. I know that you guys all hang out for the tips, tricks, trends, everything that we learn at market every time we go. And this time is no different, except for we are swapping it up. Which is really, really fun because normally Di goes to market, right? And she gives us all of the trends and what's going on and what she's seen and what she's learned. And we had Di out on a project that had been postponed. And so she was actually in Ohio for this week. And so it was super fun. I got called up to participate and head off to market, which was an absolute blast. And so we're going to swap up this episode. Di is going to take the reins and ask me the questions. Super fun. Yay, Di, welcome to being the host of Success by Design. Congratulations to welcome to the host chair.
It's so fun to be in this seat. Like now I know how you feel when you talk to me and I'm like so excited to hear about it because I didn't get to go. And I'm like, okay, you got to spill the tea. I want to know what you saw, what trends are happening and like all the good stuff. I want to know. So to start, like what was the overarching, like what was your itinerary? Like set the stage.
It was crazy. So I will tell you, if you think you need a week in High Point, you do not. And for your sanity, I would recommend not doing a week in High Point.
It's too much.
Too much. It's like drinking out of a fire hydrant. So we were super calculated going in, left on a Friday morning, 6 a.m. flight and got back Sunday night at midnight. So it was quick and dirty. But I still got all of you your color matches to Sherwin-Williams, which I'm super excited to share with you because there's some gorgeous colors in there. Super fun because we got to sit on a panel with Luann Nagara, Michelle Lynn, and Rick Campos talking about the power of processes when it comes to profitability at Universal, which was great. And then we got to see our vendors, which is really what it's about, right? Relationship building, seeing what's new and coming to market. And Di, there's some fun stuff coming our way. I'm just saying, I was surprised at how much transition there is, especially in colors. I think that's going to be the big one coming out of this one.
Yeah. So let's start there. Let's start with the trends. What were some of the trends that you've seen that were new to this High Point market, right? Because that High Point tends to be the one that sets that pace. But then also, what are some of the trends you saw holding steady from the last couple markets?
Yeah, great question. So starting with colors, I'm going to call it that blue and mustard are on their way out the front door. So you're going to still see some blues, but they're going to be more teals. And more aqua-y and not as much navy. I want to say in the forehand showroom, there was only one navy, almost denim, but it was super soft sofa that was really yummy. But to tell you the truth, everything is switching. Those blues are going to go to greens. Those mustards are going to go to apricots and blushes. And we saw it time and time and time again. Yeah, I know. Really pretty, right?
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Velvet is back. Like we've talked about velvet being back. It's not going anywhere. I would almost say that that's like a holdover from last market because you saw that, right?
Yeah, that kind of classic. It's like not a high pile, but it's like that classic velvet coming in blush now. Like in big sofas and not just accents.
Yes, it's coming in blush. And then the greens are like these olivey, deep, rich gray undertones. So it's not what you picture when you're like emerald green velvet. Hooray. No, not at all. These are like really sophisticated, beautiful, deep. And it's coming in the chocolate browns, which we've talked about before, and they're still around.
Good.
And I would say that those mustards, those yellows, are going to go more mustard, almost to the point of like burnt mustard or gold even. We saw a lot of gold. Yeah, but they're cool golds. They're not brassy, warm gold. It's almost like, in fact, one of those is in the color palette that you guys should go hop over and get at our website. We'll put it in the show notes. But the free color matches, there's a gold in there too. That's really, really pretty. So I think the colors are going to change dramatically. We talked about it last time, but more Merlot, almost like a maroon. But it was interesting. I was talking to someone who had just arrived from Paris, and they're like, no, cherry reds. You're going to start seeing true blue reds. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. I'm still in the Merlot department. So brace yourself. Apparently that is on the way as well. So just a ton of really beautiful colors. But I will say, I think especially in the spring, you're going to just see the green replacing the navy across the board. I will say it's not just the olive greens. Like there's some pretty vibrant greens in there too. Saria had some. There's some beautiful, beautiful greens in there that they just look beautiful with a white and a black background. It's just really hard to beat. And we're seeing that go. Not so much, I should say, like the grays and the tans go away. They're still neutral tones, but you're starting to see more contrast and a lot of depth in these colors. That's like kind of what you experienced in Vegas though, right?
Yeah, you saw a lot of that, especially like it was starting to like bleed into like the more like customer focused brands and not just the boutique kind of designer brands. So it's nice to see that that is still holding so that as those things start to roll out for our clients, like they don't feel like a bait and switch, like, oh, well, you said green and now, and now it's not.
And now we're doing something new.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like I can't keep up. What about lighting? Did you see any like different lighting trends?
So lighting, a lot of what you had shared last time, we're seeing the woven, a lot of natural fibers, a lot of weave where you're still seeing the bulb through, lots of glass. There was this one gorgeous fixture that almost looked like a mushroom and it had glass drops, teardrops hanging off it. But it was hammered. The top of the mushroom was hammered, which was super fun. So you're still seeing texture. The world is still very ripe at texture. But I will say the boucle has kind of died off, which if we remember talking to Nello Morelli, our guy out of Italy, I love Nello. And he's the one who's projecting 3 to 5 years ahead with color out of Italy and choosing colors for Versace, right? And he had said to us last time he was on the show, he said, keep an eye out for it. You're going to see the boucle start to go away and you're going to see softer linens and still some texture. That's happening. And that started happening at this market. So we still saw some boucle. We still saw some more tweed. We still saw some texture, but it wasn't at the level I don't think that we have been seeing it. And what's really coming in, I wonder if you saw this in Vegas, rope.
Yeah.
It's all about the rope. Rope is on everything. And I'm not talking like coastal rope, like where we typically see it on the legs of coastal applications. There are some gorgeous, sophisticated outdoor pieces that almost look like you took a shoelace and threaded it in figure eights between the bottom of the chair and the top of the chair.
Yeah.
That was stunning. And we're seeing it in lighting where it still allows the peek through of that bulb. It's not an Edison bulb. It's still a frosted bulb, but it just creates a really cool effect. We saw rope and coil. So you'll see in the side tables, it's almost like a coil pot, harkening back to my kids' art classes and what they learned. But originally, like Native Americans used to create coil pots where they'd roll a rope and then they'd wind it up and stack it, right? We're starting to see that in side tables.
I was going to say, was it side tables?
Yes. It's almost like a rope effect on the side table where they'll coil up, but it'll create a figure eight, which is really, really neat. And so there was just tons of texture, but I would say rope is a really big thing. Didn't see as much plaster going on. There was some in decor, not as much in lighting, and horses. Can we talk about horses?
That video you sent me, I just died. I died. Yeah. Tell me what that was like in person. Gosh. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's great. So horses are not just for Montana anymore, apparently, because I saw more horses than I knew what to do with. If I had to pick a market animal, It's going to be a horse. It was hilarious to me. So yeah, there were horses everywhere. It was like ubiquitous horses across the board. Tons of horses.
Was it like the Highland cows back in like 2014?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That
Every
was the
shaggy,
craze.
adorable cow that looked like it belonged in Ireland. Yes, that's exactly what it was. But yes, so tons of horses. Horses are the spirit animal of this market,
Nice.
for sure. So yeah, there's your broad overview. I mean, lots of stuff. Some carry over from what you saw in Vegas, but also some new direction. And I would say too, there's a lot of two-tone. So we're seeing like a wood frame mixed with a marble top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Carrara marble, say goodbye, wave it out the door because it's all going to travertine. It's all going to like real chunky marble, what you envision with heavy veins.
Love that.
Concrete. There's some beautiful outdoor that almost looks travertine that's concrete. But we're starting to see that natural stone and just black, beautiful black, almost like soapstone top.
Yeah.
Really pretty with like a gold trim border. Amazing. Just really cool to see.
So that's held steady.
It has. I think that's not going to go anywhere.
Well, and so all of these we're going to compile and we're doing on the website for all of those color trends too, right? So you'll be able to see the Sherwin color and all of the colors that Katie's been talking about for this. So, okay. So we did that. We did the trends. You did it fast and furious with
literally
a short window. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you're still standing, but I'm so proud of you.
Right back at you, girl.
Lot, especially logistically. Like, whoa.
It was a fast 48.
I'm excited to get that out to everyone.
Yeah.
And then you did a panel too, right? Like you spoke to our coaching clients that you have. And so how did that whole experience go with the panel?
Yes. So one thing I love about High Point, if you go, don't go just to go meet your vendors, which don't get me wrong, it's really important. And you get special sales at market when you place orders at market. Big tip there. If you're getting ready to place an order, it might be worth it just to go to market to get the discounts on your order. But one of the things I love about it is education. And so I think that is one of the most valuable to stay fresh. And we talked about this in the panel discussion that I shared with Michelle Lynn and Rick Campos and Luann Nagara hosted, which was great. But we really talked about you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about High Point is you get a chance to come and fill your cup. And it was so great. We were standing room only. It was RSVP. There were people in the lobby who wanted to get in and couldn't. And so if you're one of those people, I want to say, I'm so sorry. We missed you. We're hoping to do it again next market because Universal was a fabulous host. And a shout out to Mary Lee for a wonderful experience with that. But stick with us for that because it was so good to see so many designers in one space. It's one thing to sit here and talk to people on Zoom and coach and work through things. It's another when you can give them a hug around the neck, right? Yeah, and that was like the best part to sit there in that space with them and hear like, what are your problems with your processes? What is working? What is not working? What do you want to change? And how you're missing out on profitability if you don't have processes. And I love what Rick said. He's like, you don't think you have processes. If you have a contract, that's your first process right there. That is a process to have a contract, which I thought was utterly brilliant because sometimes it's like, well, where do I start with that? Right. So it was just a really great conversation. And then it was fun because we actually got to see coaching clients, which was so
good.
Fun. Yes. Because like I said, you actually get to give them a hug around the neck. And it's just great to share that space with them. And even sitting in a vendor showroom and just having whatever's on the buffet for lunch together at some random table, right? Anyone who's been to market is like, oh my gosh, that's the only way I get fed. Yes, I can relate to that. It was just so lovely to sit with them and just hear more about their lives. And we're not just trying to problem solve all the time, like understand who their spouses are and like, how's it going with the dog? People. Yes, we're humans. And that was like so fun. And to all the people that were brave enough to come up and like find me in different showrooms after and say thank you. I want to thank you guys because you didn't have to do that. And it meant the world when you're like, hey, I saw your talk and it was great. Thank you for having the courage to come up and say hi because it makes you realize that we're part of such a larger community, which we know, but actually being in that space is such a wonderful thing because as visual people, it makes it real, right? And so it was just great.
Yeah, to actually be able to put like a face-to-face, like you're saying, rather than just like an email about strategy. It's like at the end of the day, we're all people and we're all trying real hard to make some things happen. So like being able to meet in person, just I feel like it takes it to the next level. And then when you have like follow-up strategy calls, it's like, oh my gosh, I've met her. Like I know how like good her energy is in person too. So yeah, I'm sure that went just like a crazy long way with everybody.
So fun. It was just fun for me. Like it just made it so real and great.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great to see the showrooms. And don't think that this is all like hoochie coo peachy king over here, because I also came home with plenty of blisters. It just doesn't matter how many shoes you have or how good you think they are. I swear my pinky toes both have blisters on them that are bigger than the pinky toe itself. And we're going to work through that over the next few days at our camp. But, it really was worth it. It was great to see IDS. And, many of you, the executive director, Jenny, had her baby a while back. And she bopped in, even though she's on maternity leave. So just to see her and spend some time in space with her, it's really, at the risk of sounding like you're going to a sorority or fraternity meetup, it really kind of is a mecca for a reason, because you go and you see all your people. And it's nice to see your people when you're spending countless hours on chief or running a business or looking at financials or trying to do it and be like, oh, wait, to your point, which is a great one. We're all people out here, right? Trying to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Trying our guts out. Yeah, it was great.
It's so good. And as far as vendors go, did you feel like within that short time you were able to connect with our primary vendors and really be able to talk about what's coming up in 2025? Do you feel like you had enough time to do that? Kind of like who stood out to you as far as showrooms go?
Great question. So yes, and that's thanks to you, Di, because Di's like, we're going to get you appointments on the books and we're going to get you scheduled and we're going to, and it was great. I logged into my calendar when I landed and I'm like, yeah, we're going to be busy. All right. I just followed my little calendar and marched to my beat and showed up where I needed to show up. But yeah, you know what? So this is a really interesting point, and this is the golden nugget of market. If you show up and you want to dawdle around and look, you could spend 4 to 5 days.
Easy.
I mean, there's over 12 million square feet of showroom space alone. So if you want to do that and that's your jam, great, do it. If you want to get in and out and do it fast and dirty and say, I have 48 hours, I'm going to maximize that 48 hours, you've got to have vendor appointments. And it's so nice because then they know they have an hour with you. They know what you typically buy, source. In fact, it was funny. One of our vendors, he's like, Di is absolutely going to love this piece. So of course I created a video and sent it to Di. I'm like, you're going to love this piece. She's like, I love that piece. I'm like, see? But that's what's so great to your point about vendor relationships. You have to have those relationships and go set up your appointments in advance. You'll get a coffee on the front end because every showroom has a barista in it, right? You'll get a coffee on the front end. They'll tour you through what you need to know coming up and you'll learn their processes. Yeah. And just that relationship building alone, I feel like is so valuable. Is that how it is for you too when you head out?
Yeah. And it's just like a time too to connect just as people instead of, both parties asking like, hey, is this in stock? Or hey, like, what's my ETA on this? Or, what can we do about the freight charge here? That kind of like just true business that we do every day, in email. But it's like, oh my gosh, how are your kids?
Yes.
How did that go? How was, your daughter's this or that? Like those little things that you remember, but in the moment of a crazy Tuesday morning, you don't always have the time or capacity to like spend another 5 minutes on the phone asking how they are as people. But because we are able to do that when we're at market and like actually see you in person, it's like, oh yeah, I adore you as a person. And like, we have that connection. So it's just nice to connect on a vendor level as well. And I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like we're both trying to build business and it's nice to be able to spend that time together because the ultimate goal is to build business and create a good experience for our client, right? So I think it's worth going to some of these markets, whether it's Vegas or High Point, which is something I want to ask you about. But it's worth it. So do you think, High Point versus Vegas, I know we talk about every single one, but what camp are you in this time?
It was interesting. I was asking our vendors, I was like, poll a vendor and see what they have to say. And there were vendors that were like, no, there's still value to Vegas. Like I'd still go to Vegas. I think it depends on who your vendors are and how comfortable you are. Because going to High Point, it's an event. Like I flew into Raleigh-Durham because I needed a nonstop flight out of Seattle. So instead of Greensboro. So that's like another hour and a half drive on top of. But I know that I don't need to see every single vendor either. Like any design firm that says we have 300 vendors on the books, I'm like, you're wasting time. You should have a handful, right, of killer relationships.
Of your core. Yeah.
Yes. And then is there time to, oh my gosh, all I can think of is the word bedazzle. Because in this one showroom, they had like literally, I have no other term for it, but a bedazzled bed a bedazzled dining room table, bedazzled chairs, a bedazzled sideboard. Like I walked out and I just felt like I was part of the glitterati. I was just like, that is just so much bling. Like I just don't even know where to start, right? But you do need those couple of vendors to drop in not the bedazzle, but to put the jewelry on your design, right? But 80% is going to be your core. Go find your core. Yeah. And if they're debuting more at Vegas, go to Vegas. If they're debuting more at High Point, go to High Point. But don't try to see all 12 million square feet. There's just, the juice isn't worth the squeeze to me. And I feel like I'd be curious if this happens to you at Vegas, but I start to shut down. So like my senses as a visual person, we can only take in so much before it's like abort, information overload, blue screen of death.
Like I'm looking at it, but I'm not like processing any of it. They're all just sofas at this point. Like I'm tired.
It's a 3-on-3. Who knew? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I totally agree with that. And so that's like my thing. Start with the people that you know. And then if you're like, I want a killer coffee table company, or I need to find a cowhide company, whatever it is that you're in it for, go find those vendors after you see your basics. But yeah, I love what you said about just seeing them as people. Like it was so great just to sit and just have a cocktail and see them as people. Yeah. And that was really nice too. In fact, I love what one of our vendors said. She's like, okay, so we can go walk the showroom, or we can sit down with the virtual magazine at the bar and have a cocktail and do it virtually, even though it's right around us. And I was like, well, considering the size of the blisters, let's start there and then we'll walk. Yeah. And so we did.
That'll be the appetizer for this experience.
It totally was. I was like, thank you, Anita. That's exactly what I needed.
Way to read the room, Anita.
I know. Seriously. And the best part is that it was only 11 a.m. And Anita knew I'd been on it since like 8. And she's like, so this is like showroom number. I'm like 3, 4. I don't know. Yeah, I'm here for it. And she's like, so, and I'm like, oh, I feel seen in this moment, Anita.
You've seen and heard right now.
Totally. I was like, we have to do the mocktail because I have to speak in a couple hours. But yes to the sitting at the bar part.
Yep. Well, that's so good. Okay. So overall though, like, what was like the biggest thing you learned off of this particular market?
I was reminded at how grateful I am to be a part of this community and how thankful I am for the kindest people. And like, I saw you out there hustling for your clients. I saw the vendors hustling for us to make it work. And I saw what kind, hardworking people were in community with. And that to me was so beautiful to see, because when you are alone at your machine all day and you're grinding it out and you're doing it, I lose sight of that. And to sit on that panel and see the other beautifully intelligent, capable people who are elevating our industry, like Michelle, Rick, and Luann, to give hugs around the neck to people I didn't even know who just came up and said, thank you for saying what you said. Whatever it was, I was just reminded, like, we are so privileged. I was so humbled and honored to just realize like what a great group of people there are out there trying to make the world a more beautiful, functional, and kind place. And that was really cool to see. Like,
it's so good.
I sidebarred with one of the cops who was there and I said, so tell me all about this down here. What happens to this place? Like the other 50 weeks of the year when it's not spring and fall market. Let's talk about that. Yeah. And he's like, High Point is a city. It's 100,000 people, but then we add 100,000 during each of these weeks. And I said, it's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
And I said, like, do you see an uptick in crime? I mean, that's kind of crazy. 100,000 people come in and like, what happens? He's like, no, never. He's like, we clear out everything we need to make sure that when you guys come in, it's safe for you. There's plenty of parking.
Right.
But like, just a testament to that, I left one of my cell phones at Universal and I was like, I've lost a cell phone. This is just not a good market for Katie. And literally, I went back 3 hours later. It was after hours. I knocked on the glass. The gentleman mopping the floor opens the door for me. Then security came and I'm like, I'm missing a phone. And you guys, this is my personal phone. It has all my kids' pictures on it. I'm like, please tell me this is here somewhere.
Heart murmurs.
Total heart murmurs. I'm like, we need some nitroglycerin and a cocktail and. Guess where it was? It was just laying on the reception bar. Just laying there. Had been there for hours. And this is at Universal where they offer blowouts and cocktails and they have everything. And there's thousands of people who could have taken that phone and it's just sitting there. Isn't that amazing? I'm like, we work with really cool humans.
Yeah. Like that speak volumes, I feel like, to the community of all the designers who show up to those spaces.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And I was like, shout out to the security who makes all that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then shout out really to the group of peers that we're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
We have a really cool tribe in the larger world of design. And it's so good to visually see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'm so glad you got to go this round.
Me too.
Get your cup full of inspiration.
I mean, like, I'm really sad you didn't get to go.
I was sad. I'm not going to lie to you. I was sad because I love going to those things, but I'm glad you got to go.
Well, now I know why. I mean, seriously, it was really, really fun to be able to sit in that space, but it missed you. Like, I know you're going to have a good time getting back to it, but I'm glad I got to go in. Yeah. I had big shoes to fill. I hope I did right by you, Di.
You crushed it.
And then we got what we needed to out of market so we can share it with y'all as far as the color matches and whatnot.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
How do you like the host chair, Di?
Oh my gosh. It's just so nice to be able to pick your brain and like just get a different perspective, right? Like it's just a different lens, right? And like your ability to see things differently and your experience with the coaching clients is so good to hear that, you know, that all worked out so swimmingly and that you got to actually, like you said, see a face, give a hug, because that's really what it's about. So I appreciate you for going and spending the time. I mean, it's a lot. Travel wise, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that.
My toes say it's a lot. Yeah. No, so happy to do so. And I'm a hugger. So if you ever don't want to get a hug, you shouldn't come try to find me in market because I will hug you. Just saying, I'm a hugger. So there's that. But yeah, it was super fun. So thank you for hosting. You did a fabulous job. I hope this was helpful to everyone. We love bringing you market. We love doing this. And hopefully this will be relevant for those of you that didn't get to go. And for those of you that did, if you're taping your blisters too, just know we're in community together on that.
We're all here for you.
We're all here for you. Well said. All right. Thank you, Di. Bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Coaching Corner. So if you've been listening, you know there's a lot that goes on at High Point. And let's be honest, it feels like you are drinking out of a fire hydrant. The number one tip, well, really two, I'm going to give you a buy one, get one free here. The number one tip is make sure you know the reason why you are going and don't lose sight of that. There are so many pretty things to see and so many wonderful people to meet. Set your intention and don't deviate. Make a plan. If you just go in blindly, it is extremely easy to get lost, literally and figuratively, as to why you are there. And then the second thing, comfortable shoes, comfortable shoes, comfortable shoes. I can't say it enough because even my most comfortable shoes, I still am getting blisters. But be prepared to walk, bring your water bottle, bring your snacks. It's totally worth it. But number one tip, make sure that you're setting your intention. In fact, I'm going to walk you through in the strategy session coming up next week for our subscribers on our premium channel, exactly how I go about executing that intention and putting together the schedule to maximize my time. So if you're not a premium subscriber, please go in, subscribe to our premium channel. It's almost like a one-on-one coaching session because I'm giving you all the details that we just briefly touch on here in the Coaching Corner and bringing it to life. And that's the closing bell. I hope you've gathered valuable insight from our conversation today, equipping you to thrive in your interior design business. Don't forget to hit that follow button to never miss an episode. And if you have burning questions or specific topics you're curious about, explore our episode library, or better yet, book a strategy session directly with me at colorworks.coach. Until next time, see you in the studio. It's our virtual community, and the link is below.